Now we are going to see fourth chapter, data file handling. What is the difference between transient and persistent programs? Transient programs are meant for the usage of short time. Both input and output data disappears after the execution. You will not be able to retrieve it back because your data was stored in the RAM when it was doing its execution. Whereas in persistent programs, it is meant for the use of long period. Because of that thing, you will be able to retrieve both input and output data even after your execution. This happens because your data will be stored in the secondary memory like hard disk and all. When data is backed up on the storage device as a data structure, it's called data files. So data files are considered as permanent storage. It can be used according to a requirement. That means you can write data onto your file, you can read from it. If anything went wrong, you can even rewrite it. So definitely a name must be assigned for your file for the identification purpose by the operating system and by the user. In file input-output operations, when we are reading, data will be transferred from hard disk to main memory, and it will be done vice versa when we are going to write. Now we are going to see the definition of a file. File is considered as a stream or a sequence of bytes occupying named place on the disk. Naturally, whenever you are going to save your data in a file, it will be almost related data only. There are three basic steps in file handling. The first one, if you want to work with a file, you must definitely open a file. After that, we can do our operation. That means you can process data which are already stored on a file. After processing, definitely it must be closed. 7 basic operations on file. The first one, if you want to work with a file, definitely you have to create a file. And traversing on a file, it will be done naturally for displaying the content of the file on your monitor. Then, if you are having a content with your file, if you want to add a new data, that particular operation, we are calling it as appending without losing the previous content. If you are going to write for the first time, it can be called as inserting data in a file. If you are going to remove a data from a file, you can call it as deleting data from a file. It is possible to create a copy of file. Even you can do the updation in a file. Files are mainly classified into three, depending upon its way of storing information. The first one, it is considered as text file. The next one, binary file, and the third one, it is CSV files. Now we are going to see the difference between text file and binary file. In text file, it will be going to store your information as a sequence of lines. A line is a sequence of characters, and that characters will be either in the form of ASCII or Unicode. Each line is terminated by an AOL character, that means /n. Because of this /n, when we are going to read from this file, we require a translation to make our system or the program to understand what is this /n. So it will be a little bit time consuming task. And if you are trying to open a text file, you can read all the information. That means it will be in a human readable form. Because of that thing, the security of text file, it is much less. Naturally, when we are storing text files, you can give an extension .txt. Whereas in the case of binary files, your information will be stored as binary information, even that is image, video, audio, or whatever it might be. Binary means it's a combination of zeros and ones. Because of that thing, no one will understand what you have written. Even you can do numerical operations according to your requirement. Remember, in binary files, there is no EOL character. That means there is no delimiter. Because of that thing, no translation is also required. And since the content of the binary file is in binary format, you can read your information much fast. And remember, you will not be able to read the content of a binary file if you are trying to open it. But when we are going to read from it, the bit patterns will be interpreted to its appropriate data type. It is perfectly possible to interpret data as string or numeric, whatever it might be. And in binary files, security measurements are also the encoding as well as decoding is possible in the case of binary files with lot many modules. And naturally, .dat extension is used to store your binary files.